shores of the Caspian Sea, at the crossroads of Europe and Asia, is Azerbaijan. Its capital, Baku, is a stunning combination of ancient and modern, where history and technology meet and embrace. And this young, vibrant community is the venue for the 2012 City Challenge. And this is where it will all take place, on the wide boulevards by the bustling seafront. The modern Parliament building nestling right in the centre of things. And the crowd have voted with their feet. Azerbaijan has never had any international motor racing, and they are keen to come out and see and find out exactly what is City Challenge.
This event is a little bit different from all the motorsports events in the world because it's a combination of artists, music and a big children event. So it's an event for the whole family. We are looking always worldwide to good destinations, and you need special places to do this. And I was invited from a friend of mine to come to Baku, and immediately we identified this is the place to do it. Beautiful city, beautiful people, and big support from everybody.
Part of the concept of City Challenge is not just based around the racetrack, it's to bring a host of other activities to the fans as well. The pit lane in Baku's city centre stirs for the first time for the Drivers' Parade. Setting off from the racetrack, the parade takes the cars to the streets, much to the delight and perhaps amusement of the locals. A unique event. Some of the world's finest supercars make their way through the heart of the host city. Their destination, the press conference, the curtain raiser for the weekend's action.
I drive these streets every day, and that's the first time I've actually had a lot of fun driving on the streets in Baku.
It's an awesome opportunity to show myself and just to have a nice ride in a beautiful city of Baku. I'm really glad with that.
Really good drivers here, and also in our team we have Villeneuve, and so looking forward to racing here, and yeah, it's going to be great fun.
Fans have had their first opportunity to see the cars and meet the drivers. The City Challenge has arrived. Time then to get the first of the action underway in this unique format. 2 sprint races, 1 for each driver in the car, and that will decide their positions on the grid for the main 2-driver race on Sunday. Cars on the grid with the McLaren on pole position. Fred Machiavizzi, fastest man in qualifying, getting ready to lead the field away in this British-built supercar. And alongside him and behind him, his rivals, all anxious to taste the city streets. Frank Ketchler, second fastest in the BMW that he shares with the son of Formula One world champion Niki Lauda, Matthias, and Bernd Schneider in his Mercedes, a man who needs little introduction to the fans.
My name is Bernd Schneider, I'm 5-time DTM champion.
As a man who dominated German touring car racing for over a decade, Bernd Schneider is one of the favourites to take the City Challenge crown.
I started with Formula Ford. I was runner-up in my first year. I came into the program of Ford's young drivers, and they sponsored me until I get into Formula One. And I did Formula One in '88, '89. And then Norbert Haug came motorsport chief to Mercedes-Benz, and he asked me to come to DTM, and this was, of course, the right way because I won 5-time DTM title.
One of the most experienced drivers in the field, Schneider knows only too well the perils of city racing.
The challenge is always the wall next to you. Between 0 and 0, it's less than an inch. And if you go for it and you want to make good lap times, you have to go close to the wall. And if you push a little bit too hard, you're in the wall. It's completely different compared to Monaco because some streets are very wide and that's good for the race, for overtaking.
Schneider certainly doesn't lack in motivation.
If I go for races, I like to win. I think we're a good combination of drivers. We got a very good team with Heiko team, very experienced in the last 2 years. And I guess that these 4 drivers, they are all in a position, if everything goes well, to win this race.
We have the stars, we have the cars, and now, for the first time ever, Azerbaijan has its racetrack. But what about this city circuit? Well, it's just under 2.2 kilometres, and it is going to be very busy work for the drivers, with 16 turns to negotiate, most of them in first or second gear. But they'll need to concentrate. Top speeds will be over 200 kilometres an hour between concrete walls. So let's get ready to race. The black and silver McLaren had Fred Machiavici leading the field around. The white Porsche of Sean Edwards alongside BMW and McLaren on row 2. And away they go. The cars are unleashed. Thousands of horsepower onto the city streets of Baku. It is the McLaren driver who claims the lead with his teammate Rob Bell up into 3rd position. There's confusion further back. Everybody trying to make it safely through the tight first couple of corners and get their experience of street racing underway. Autumn leaves are blown out of the way as the cars hustle quickly through the opening corners, jockeying for position. It's vital to try and make up positions as early as you can, because street circuits are renowned for being tough to overtake on. The top 3 breaking away already from Frank Ketchler in 4th place. The turquoise highlights on his BMW. He's under pressure from Bernd Schneider immediately. The German looking to hurry up and catch the leaders. But out front, Fred Machiavici, Sean Edwards and Rob Bell are intent on their own battle. The crowd, thrilled by the noise and the speed, are already starting to warm to the experience of motor racing in a country in which there is no history of the sport at all. Well, the start was remarkably clean. Look at the white Porsche on the right-hand side of the picture on the front row. Sean Edwards trying to get a jump on the McLaren on pole position, but a great getaway by Machiavici. He held the inside line into turns 2 and 3 and managed to keep his nose in front. Further back, a couple of drivers having to jump on the inside of the curbs. But Machiavici and the McLaren on the left-hand side of the shot just did enough to deny the Porsche Super Cup driver a chance to take the lead. Well, for everybody, the nerves, the anticipation were all now behind them. It was time to get on with the race, and miraculously, everybody survived the first corner without any damage. The onboard view shows just how tight the confines are of the Baku street circuit. Concrete walls there to punish any mistake. Schneider gets himself tucked in behind the lead quartet. Matthias Lauder on the right-hand side watching his teammate Frank Ketchler challenging for the lead. Well, there is Ketchler behind Rob Bell in the second of the McLarens. This the battle for 3rd place. Bell, Ketchler, and behind him Bernd Schneider. And Schneider always a tough adversary. Plenty of experience racing on street circuits, not only in his Formula 1 years, but especially in the DTM, the German Touring Car Championship. And he knows that it's pressurizing the driver in front that is going to force mistakes. And on these streets, if you make a mistake, you're immediately vulnerable. There's nowhere to go. You can't run wide onto the grass and keep the power on. Make a mistake here, and the concrete walls will punish you. Closing stages of the race, and Fred Machiavici is away from Sean Edwards. The battle for 3rd place rages on, but it looks as though McLaren are going to have 2 cars on the podium here. The BMW challenges, but he and Schneider in the Mercedes are not able to make a pass. Final 30 seconds of the race, and that means this will be the last lap. Fred Machiavici has led from pole position. Relentless pressure from the Porsche of Sean Edwards has been to no avail. He's not been able to force the mistake that was required. Edwards a winner in Monaco earlier in the summer in his Porsche, but unable to repeat street race victory here in Azerbaijan. Machiavici checks the mirrors one last time. Edwards is no threat, and he can enjoy the final few corners as he races on towards the checkered flag. For the Hexis McLaren team, who are champions in GT racing in 2012, it's a chance to win another kind of race. And he goes into the history books, victorious in the first race of the 2012 City Challenge. Sean Edwards taking second place, and behind an all-Porsche battle, here comes the McLaren of Rob Bell. He will complete the podium. Schneider unable to pass the BMW as they run for the line. Well, victorious Fred Machiavici and the second place driver Sean Edwards getting the doors open to salute the big crowds here. No doubt our winner is a very happy man.
You're the first ever winner of a City Challenge race.
Yeah, it's great, and the public was really happy after the checkered flag. It was really nice.
Yeah, I mean, second is fine. I mean, it's really hard to overtake unless you really force your issue. Then you're not going to be able to overtake. But yeah, it was good fun, and we were both flat out the whole race, so I think we had quite a big gap to the third place. So yeah, it was a fun race for sure.
City Challenge is about more than just motor racing. You might think a first experience of racing cars on their capital city streets would be enough to send the crowds home happy. But City Challenge provides so much more. The concept is to offer a wide range of activities and entertainments for all the family, both on track and off it. For the enthusiastic crowds, from VIP guests to the fans in the grandstands, the noise, the speed, the excitement on the track was a whole new experience. And when they wanted to take a break, around every corner there was something new to discover, whether you were 9 or 90. Something to keep kids of all ages entertained. Everything to make the City Challenge a day out that they would never forget. And coming up, a chance to experience a whole new form of motorsport.
My name is René Ports. I drive for MPS Racing. This is my car. We're running 520 horsepower. It's quite a lot of power for drifting, so it's a lot more fun. It's actually really easy. What you have to do for drifting is that you do drive just the ideal race line, but what you do before you get to the turn, you throw the car sideways. So you make the rear brake out, you stabilize the car, and then you just hit it full throttle, drifting through the turn, creating an angle of the car, oversteering it, and then just flooring it through the turn, making as much show as possible, because that's what drifting is about. One way of initiating a drift is basically, of course, you go full throttle first, second, third, and then you steer into the turn a little bit, you pull the e-brake just to lock the rear wheels, then you let go of the steering wheel, and it then automatically turns all the way to the right, so you put it into full lock, let the clutch come, and then full gas. There are different kinds of drifting styles on how you initiate the turn. The e-brake, clutch kick, or just a big flick throwing the weight transition of the car. So these are all the kind of rules that go into the judging area. Drifting is a spectator sport. So what we do is we try to get as close to the walls as possible, and you're driving at the limit. So you're always full throttle as hard as possible. And the thing is, if you're pushing a little bit too hard, a little tiny mistake, you will then get the dents into the car.
Well, let's hope that the drivers in the Sprint Race 2 aren't quite as enthusiastically sideways as the Drift Kings, because they are now on the grid, getting ready to go. This is now the opportunity for the second driver to back up what the first driver has achieved in their car, because this is all about teamwork. And Jos Verstappen getting ready on the grid, the ex-Grand Prix driver, set to race.
To be a good City Challenge driver, I think, first of all, stay over the walls, I think is very important. And then, even then, find the limit with the car, run as close as possible to it. And that's hard because the track is bumpy. It's hard to see what happens after the corner. It's just a matter of build your confidence between the walls and stay over it. also for me is a lot of things to learn in a very short period. And that makes it, of course, that makes it very interesting.
Leading the field round is Stef Dusseldorp in the McLaren that won the first of the sprint races, but he does not get a good start. Jumped immediately by Matthias Lauda in the BMW and Alvaro Parent in the second of the McLarens. It's Lauda who takes the lead, Parent in second, poleman Stef Dusseldorp in third position. And trouble as well for Sergei Afanasyev in the red and white Mercedes that he shares with Bernd Schneider. He got eased out onto the rumble strips and took a rough flight through the first corner. Well, again, everybody has made it safely through. The streets are wide, but the concrete walls are beckoning at every turn. And of course, the drivers will want to use as much road as possible, especially Matthias Lauda. He'll feel the pressure from Alvaro Parent, one of the McLaren factory development drivers. But behind, there's a great battle for third place. The second of the BMWs, young Niklas Meyer-Melnhof, is really pushing hard. Working their way through traffic will become part of the race for these drivers, and they've got to be careful. A little bump up the inside there to make some room for yourself, and that is always going to be one of the ways of getting by on the city streets. Well, with the McLaren that led race one dropping back into third place, it's a chance now for the BMW that finished in second place in race one to take the advantage and perhaps put themselves on pole position for the 60-minute final event of City Challenge. Each of the drivers qualified the car individually, they each race individually, and then everything that they have done all weekend is put together for the main feature race. Oh, and there's drama there. Giacomo Barri's Ferrari damaged and leaking oil or water on the racetrack, and somebody's found it. That's Mitch Mitländer. Let's take a look at what happens to the Corvette. It's out of turn 3. He gets onto that lubricant, and he is into the wall hard, and Sergei Afanasyev only just escaped in the Mercedes. Well, no option for it but to stop the race. Red flag. The driver is out. He is okay, but that Corvette looking badly damaged. Well, after clear-up operations, they're led round by the safety car and released once more. It's a chance now in second place for Alvaro Parent in that McLaren to put the pressure on Matthias Lauda, but Lauda makes a great getaway in the BMW, who pulls away immediately from his pursuers. McLaren's in second and third, BMW first and fourth. The Mercedes dropping back down the order in this race. And you can see there is still some slippery surface there in turn 3. They will have to be very cautious indeed. But caution doesn't win you races. So Alvaro Parent is pressing on hard. Well, for Lauda, this is going to be real pressure. The young driver has yet to win a major motor race. And right behind him is a man who has won many in his career and is looking to add another scalp to his tally. 23 minutes of the race remaining. Lauda has got a long way to go. He must be flawless. Any mistake, an inch wide, of tiny lapse of concentration, and he will find the car in the barriers, and the chance of victory has gone. And it's bad enough that he's got one McLaren behind him. There's a second one in third place as well. On board in the Hexis McLaren, charging hard. There is your race leader. Well, Lauda pulled away by over a second from the restart, but Parent has taken half a second out of that in just a couple of laps and is piling on the pressure. And further back, there are battles for position all the way down the field. Jos Verstappen in 8th place, working his way strongly into contention. Oh my goodness, and another Corvette in trouble. And that is Jörg Eberhard, and he has had a massive accident just outside the pit lane. Red flag's out, and he is out of the car, but just look at the wreckage. Goodness me, a massive impact. It takes a lot of heavy lifting gear to move those concrete walls, and he has destroyed the Corvette on them. He's going to be a very sore boy in the morning. Comes in wide on the driver's side. A massive impact and a brief fire But such is the strength of modern racing cars, he's able to climb out unharmed and unaided. That definitely looks like the end of the weekendo for the 28 Corvette. Well, such is the damage. The race will not be restarted. Let's hear from our race director.
In Article 35 in our spotting regulations of this series, it's written if a qualifying sprint can't be restarted, we use the points from the qualifying. So what we did for the final starting grid order for the race today is to make the points from the qualifying sprint 1 and points for qualifying 2, and that are the results.
So here is how they will line up. It will be the number 17 McLaren of Fred Machiavici and Stef Dusseldorp, who start on pole position from Frank Ketchler and Matthias Lauda. The second McLaren and the second BMW on row 2 behind their teammates. Ben Schneider will start in 5th position. Jacques Villeneuve and Jos Verstappen round out the top 10.
How about tomorrow? Are you feeling confident?
100%. I think we will start second. And Frank will do the start. Frank is a really strong driver, and I will do the second stint. And if we have the same pace in the second race, for sure we can fight for the podium, and maybe everything goes right, we can fight for a win.
2 races, 2 different winners, and we still have the main race to come, the feature race with both drivers racing their car and the compulsory driver change and tyre change. So the fans have had their first taste of motor racing, but there is so much more to come in City Challenge. And you can see all the action in our next show. Well, the sun is down, but that doesn't mean that the action has stopped. Far from it. It's time to party on into the night. It's a national holiday, and the crowds are going to take a long time to go home. The mechanics and the drivers, though, might need to get some sleep with Sunday's challenges yet to come.